This is Carrigan and Company. Why have a job when you can have a purpose? When you work for the Northeast Arc, you're joining a team dedicated to creating inclusive communities for people with disabilities. As an organization that supports more than 10,000 people each year, it's easy to find a role that fits your skills and passion. Become part of an organization that was named one of the best employers in Massachusetts. Visit ne-arc.org/careers to view job opportunities and apply. That's ne-arc.org/careers. Hey everybody, it's me, Kim, coming up on this edition of Carrigan and Company, one of Boston's favorite celebrity chefs. This is Carrigan and Company.
Carrigan and Company is here for you. Yes, Carrigan and Company is here for you.
Welcome, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. So good to have you with us for this episode. And we have got a terrific show with three fabulous guests. Now, keeping me company today is someone who has more television shows than I can count on one hand. She also has that many restaurants, so I can't keep up with that either. It is great to have celebrity chef with me, Tiffani Faison. It's good to see you.
Oh, my goodness. It's so good to see you. We were just talking. It's been a minute since we've seen each other.
I know. Absolutely. You know, in fact, I was thinking about it. When did you open Sweet Cheeks?
2011.
Okay, so I think that I interviewed you as you were opening that.
Probably.
And that may have been one of the last
Not
times.
since?
Can you
How is that?
imagine?
No.
I mean, I think somewhere along the line.
We stay in each other's consciousness. Like, that's
100%.
Like, we live in the city, and
Absolutely.
I watch the show. And so, yeah, I feel like I've seen you, but wild. And then, you know, pre-COVID, post-COVID, I don't know who I've seen at that
I was
point.
just going to say, we lost about 4 years that nobody knows exactly who we saw or why we saw them.
In the
right?
void.
Yeah, it is. It's
totally
all
in the void. Yeah.
Sweet Cheeks, wow, it continues to just do gangbusters.
We're doing okay. It's been so interesting. Like, the Fenway neighborhood has kind of gone up and down around, you know, it was like really on the upswing before the pandemic. And now it's, I think we're starting to settle back in a little bit. So Sweet Cheeks has been able to weather all of that, which is great. So we're
good barbecue and Southern cooking. I mean, it survives anything.
Yeah, thank you.
right?
We work really hard on it being consistent and providing great service. It's been 14 years now.
You know,
Wild.
that's almost unheard of, too.
Yes.
I mean,
it's
I'm telling
rare.
someone who knows that.
It's rare. It's rare. So,
really is.
And, you know, Sweet Cheeks being my first restaurant that I own, I think it spoiled me a little bit that I was like, oh, they're all going to be like this. And, you know, success in restaurants, Danny Meyer tends to say, like, it's about 7 or 8 years is the arc of a restaurant.
Sure.
So it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So we've doubled that.
I love that it's over there in Fenway, and you're right. Fenway has that neighborhood does kind of ebb and flow, but it feels like to me right now it's really strong, and that it's come back, and it's a really great spot.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have Fenway Park there is huge, right? Like, that's never going to change. There's been an artist community that's been in Fenway for years, and that continues to thrive around us. There's been developments that have obviously, like, continued to have the neighborhood rise. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway is fabulous. It's so great. And it's not just music. They do a ton of stuff. I was just there for the State of the City with the mayor, and that was, you know, extraordinary. So, yeah, it provides a lot of, like, magnetism to the neighborhood. There's a lot of reasons to come by. There's a lot of students that live in the area, a lot of doctors that are working, like, just down the street at Longwood. So it's a really dynamic neighborhood in that way.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Cool.
And Sweet Cheeks isn't your only restaurant there.
Nope. I have Fool's Errand there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I have to be honest with you. I have never been in there.
Come on in.
I'm coming.
Yes.
Tell everybody about that restaurant, though, because this is a really cool concept.
It's a small bar. It's a tiny, like, craft cocktail bar, and we feature wines. We have little snacks that we have in there. The first 2 years, it was really modeled after, like, a European, like, wine bar where everyone stands up and it's really convivial and it's loud and fun. And, you know, I knew that would be a hard sell. On the weekends, it wasn't. We had a great crowd. It's hard to get people in Boston to stand up from, like, Monday to Thursday after they've had, like, a week of working. So, and it's funny, we joked about it. It's like, well, they'll do it in Europe. And it's like, yeah, well, they're in Europe. Like, they're, you know, it's a different vibe. So yeah, we put stools in it, and it's really comfortable, beautiful space. It's really fun and intimate. So it's great.
I have to tell you, I don't know why I haven't been in to the bar, because that is my kind of place.
Yeah.
And I would stand, by the way. So when I come, I'm just going to pull
now.
I'm just going to pull my seat out, if you don't mind.
Exactly.
And everyone will think I'm sitting because I'm so short.
We are the same height, so it's exactly that. I can sit or stand; it doesn't matter. I'm going to, like, show up the same.
So as I introduced you, and I mean, you know, you were this young woman who has
Was.
no, you're still this young woman who. All right, so Tiff, we've talked about two. You actually, I know you have. Do you have two or three over at the new?
Two in the. Oh, I'm sorry, at High Street Place.
High Street Place,
Technically
right.
4.
Oh,
so I have bubble bath.
I'm so sorry.
It's been really great for us. So we've been able to grow brands in that space. And it's been like a really great incubator. So we have bubble bath. It's a champagne-focused wine bar. We do hot dogs and popcorn there. It's sort of, grower champagne and really beautiful wines, and then we kind of. Don't take ourselves too seriously with the hot dog and popcorn.
It's great fun.
Yeah. And then we have tenderonis, which is pizza and subs like grinders. That's in the corner. We have dive bar that we've turned into a kiosk, which is an oyster bar, lobster rolls, chowder. And then we have our concept that we introduced this past or last year, Charming Gardener. That's more salads and grains and bowl focused. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Yeah.
How do you keep your head on straight?
I have a great team.
Yeah.
I have a great team. Like, you can't do this alone.
Well,
so, yeah.
I hear a lot of chefs say that. How many people are on the team, do you think?
The people that have been on the core of the team, so the team is larger, right? We're probably 160 all in terms of our employees, but that's a lot of like part-time employees, people that come and go. We've had some people, I've had servers that have been with me almost since day one at Sweet Cheeks. But my core team, there's like 5 of us, and Dan's been with me for 15 years. Yeah. And then the newest members have been with me for like 7.5.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that means you're a wonderful person to work with.
That means we work together well, all of us. So yeah, it's collaborative.
That's fantastic. What I think is really interesting is that you have had this incredible success, and you're very young, and yet you don't seem to be migrating outside of the Boston area. A lot of chefs very early on say, it's really great to have Boston, but I got to get to D.C.
Sure.
I got to get to Chicago.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I mean, I think there are always opportunities to look at. I can't say that it'll just be Boston forever. The city's been extraordinary to me. I'm not from here, but it feels like I'm from here at this point. I've been here for over 20 years. It's so interesting. I remember having a conversation with a chef out of Dallas years ago. We were at the Derby, Kent Rathburn, and he said, I'll never get when chefs like build themselves in a city and then leave it. And that resonated with me, and it stayed with me. So, yeah, there will be other opportunities. I also think it's really easy to chase shiny objects when you're young. It's easy to get distracted.
Absolutely.
And it's a hard business, So I feel really grateful to have what we have in the city. We talk about other cities sometimes. I don't know them as intimately. Like, you can study, you can do demographic studies, but there is something about knowing a city that you live in every day,
100%.
Yeah, you understand a heartbeat that you don't necessarily get in other cities.
You said it. I thought it might be a good idea to have people stand, and then I realized that Bostonians don't want to stand Monday through Thursday.
Sure.
I mean, you figured that out because you live here.
And flexibility, I think, is just like that's part and parcel to running businesses always. Like we say this about restaurants, and no matter what city we end up being in, I think this is key. Especially when you're young, you get really stuck on an idea of something. It's like a little dog with a bone. I don't have children, but I've always said, I think having restaurants must be like having children. You have all the things that you want for them, right? But they're going to show you what they need to be. Yeah. And if you fight that or you get in the way of them, you're going to set up a contentious relationship with your restaurant that's not going to work. So, yeah, you have
somebody's going to fail one way or the other.
Yeah, you have to. Absolutely. I mean, it still needs to be, yours and conceptually what you want it to be, but you have to be open to, a really windy road for as long as you want to be on it.
Your ability to take restaurants outside of the city, though, is growing and growing and growing because your visibility has grown incredibly. I mean, I think there's some really great chefs who have restaurants in this city, but nobody knows them outside of here. Yeah. That is not the case for you, thanks to television. So let's talk a little bit about TV.
Sure. It's been a ride.
A little something I know about. People get on a show or they get on 2 shows. You are popping up over and over again on some really successful shows, obviously in your wheelhouse, all of them being cooking. But it's amazing, Tiff. So where did this start? How did you do this?
I don't know that I did. It started long ago. I was on the first season of Top Chef. Like, you guys had Tom on a while ago. And that was, it's wild. That was almost 20 years ago.
But really?
It was 20 years ago. Yeah. It was 2005 when we shot Top Chef. So
You
And
were a contestant.
I was a contestant
Yeah.
on the very first season. So, no secret. I think I've been really public about how hard that was on me. They didn't know what the show was. The editing was really tough. I didn't help the situation. We didn't understand chefs back then.
Sure.
We certainly didn't understand women. We therefore really didn't understand female chefs, and there wasn't space for that. So it was tough, and I took a huge step back. I went on All Stars years later. But it was like I sort of reeled from it a little bit. So I thought, and I had, people in my life that were saying, like, I don't think TV's for you, which is like, maybe not something, that I don't know if someone gets to say for you necessarily. And I believed that. I believed that for a while, that it was really tough and there wasn't maybe, the road for me. And that was fine. I had never really considered it being that big of a part of my life. Happy to run the restaurants, happy to just, cook and do my thing. That's,
Sure.
TV was never the goal.
Sure.
So I ended up, it's the strangest story. Chopped reached out to have me compete on like their grill tournament. And they'd reached out for like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I wasn't really interested.
Was this a result of Sweet Cheeks?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I just said, like, I don't know, I've competed before, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go back into like, the mouth of the lion, essentially. And then I
had just
eventually
gotten over it.
I know, kind of. That was really, honestly, a huge part of it.
Right. I understand that.
Yeah. And I got to a place where, it was like, okay, well, we could use a little bit of like, visibility in the world. Let's go do this. It's not going to be the end of the world. So I ended up doing a screen test for them. And it was wild because they had chased me for like 2 or 3 years to do the show. And then once I said yes, I had to audition to compete, which is fine. It's fine. I just didn't expect it. And they came back and said, thanks, but no thanks. We're not interested.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And you want to talk about like, take my toys and go home. I was like, I am done with TV. I don't want this anymore. So, I felt really hurt by it.
Yeah, I
was
bet
like,
you did.
Well, why did you chase me so hard?
Right.
Now I understand that it's really like usually casting people that are in their 20s and everyone's reaching out. They don't, whatever. They got back to me in a couple of weeks and said, we'd like you to judge. I thought, okay, ego was a little less bruised. So I went and I didn't know what to expect. And it was with Scott Conant and Mark Murphy. It was out at like the Queens County Farm Museum. It was freezing. And I just didn't know what to expect. And I had the best time.
There you go.
I always walk away from situations thinking I'm very much like, oh, I should have done this or that would have been better. Very critical in that way. I've worked on getting better around it. But I walked away from that day. I remember the back of my head hurt from smiling so much. And I had just had the best time. And I kind of felt like I left it all on the field.
Awesome.
Didn't expect anything. And they just kept calling me to guest judge. Eventually, they gave me the job as a regular judge. They weren't looking for one. And then that led to Tournament of Champions and Beat Bobby Flay and Triple G, Wild Card. Yeah, so it just became
It's fantastic.
a snowball. Yeah, it's been really
What do you
fun.
think? Tell me, I know what I think, but what do you think is the X factor that makes them all keep coming back to you?
Oh, it's impossible to ask someone that. I don't know. I think knowledge of food, I'd like to think that.
Yes.
Ability to be honest without being, to be tough without being cruel.
Right.
And to be honest. I'd like to think I'm hilarious. Like my girlfriend doesn't think I'm that funny, but I think I'm pretty funny sometimes. I don't know. I don't know what it necessarily is. I really enjoy it and I like
I think
engaging.
you're an excellent communicator.
Oh.
And I think that's part of what they're very much attracts you. I think you're right. I think it's your incredible ability to convey to someone in a very nice, gentle way that what they've done is maybe incorrect and give them some suggestions on how to make it better. But I think you're an excellent communicator. You're
you.
articulate. And when sometimes when I watch others, I feel like I want to go, come on, get to it. You don't do that, So
you.
Immediately I know what your X factor is. And
Shout
I think
out to my college debate coaches.
There you go.
Yeah, truly.
It's so great. Listen, we've got a great show today. We got lots to talk
I'm
about.
so excited.
We'll circle back, talk about some more of the goals for the future.
Yep.
You have a full-on company.
Yes.
It's not just you and your team.
Correct.
There's a full-on company there. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about all of that. So
right.
good to have you here.
So
I'm
great
so
to
glad
be
you're
here.
here.
I know, it's so nice
listen,
to hang
coming
out.
up on the show here, our next guest, he goes by the name Slaine. He is a hip-hopper
I know.
and a rapper.
Yep.
He's an actor Have you? I don't know if you've seen some of his clips, and seen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Been in some
Town?
of the biggest
Come on
movies
now.
that have ever been made here in the Boston area, and he's about to be in some really big movies as well.
Truly.
And he's really, really good. And he's just opened an incredible facility here in Boston to help a whole lot of people. So he is coming up.
So
we'll take a
excited to
quick
meet him.
break. We'll let the sponsors help us out, and Tiffany and I will be here right on the other side. This is Carrigan and Company.
Have you tried Rumson Rum yet? This smooth, sweet, memorable rum is distilled in the Caribbean, barreled aged, and then blended, finished, and bottled in Salem, Massachusetts. Rumson's offers 4 unique blends: Gold, Spice, Grand Reserved, and Coffee. Before you start to sip or mix your next cocktail, ask yourself, do I want to enjoy New England's most awarded rum brand? If the answer is yes, the answer is Rumson's. Get Rumson's rum at liquor stores or ask for it by name at your favorite restaurant. Rumson's. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. So glad that you can be with us and keeping me company today. Of course, celebrity chef Tiffani Faison is here. We're having a great time.
Having the best time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing so. Our producer is so proud of us because we're staying on time.
I'm a chef. I'm here to keep it all moving.
I was going to say, we can rectify that if you want.
Being a chef, people have tried,
Listen, I'm really excited about our next guest.
Me too.
You and I have done a little research on him so that we know pretty much about him. This is George Carroll. He's also known as Slaine.
How you doing?
And George, and we're going to call you Slaine. Is that cool?
Either or is fine.
Okay,
with me.
No, you have to choose. You have to so who calls you Slaine?
All my friends call me Slaine.
Okay.
Okay.
Then
then
we're going to call him
we're
Slaine.
gonna call you
'cause
Slaine.
Yeah, you can call me
We're
Slaine.
new friends. Slaine is a hip-hop rap artist. He is an actor with incredible, on both sides of that entertainment world, incredible credits. And then he also has recently opened a recovery center here in Boston, and we're going to chat with him about all of that. But I think where we have to start is you started.
Where did Slaine come from?
Yeah.
The name Slaine?
Yeah.
Well, apparently it was an Irish superhero, like an Irish comic book hero. So when I moved to New York City when I was 18 years old, I was doing open mics, and I was going under the name John Doe.
Interesting.
And, and then I was working with this guy, Caves, from a group called Lords of Brooklyn in their studio in Brooklyn. And he was like, there was another guy, John Doe, that was coming up with Busta Rhymes and somebody else. And he said, this is your new name. And he had this whole logo, and it was like, he was like, it's an Irish warrior.
It was ready to
and
go.
It stuck. Yeah,
He had a logo.
He packaged it for me.
Yeah, you can't exactly say no if someone gives you a package of your own PR stuff.
Well, I like it. I think it fits you well. I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love
Great.
it. You started in the world of rap.
I did.
How many albums have you had?
I think I've had 13 albums out by now between like my solo projects, my group projects, collaborations, mixtapes. I've put out quite a bit of work over the years.
And I got to tell you, Slaine, you've done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a journey. And I really kind of the thing that kind of pushed my career over the top with the music in the beginning was I got in a group with my childhood idols, the House of Pain, which if you were growing up as an Irish American kid in Boston in the 90s, House of Pain was it.
There was no bigger group.
Yeah, House of Pain.
Yeah, that was it.
Those were my heroes, and they, have since become my mentors and very good friends. And
How'd that happen?
Man, it's a long story, but it was about 10 years of grinding, doing open mics and building up kind of my
Before you
own-
met them.
Yeah, and then I met Danny Boy through that gentleman Caves that gave me my name, and Danny Boy brought me out to LA, and I crashed on his couch, and I ended up signing a pre-production deal with DJ Lethal, who was also in Limp Bizkit. He was a DJ for Limp Bizkit. And, so at that time, House of Pain had been dissolved for many years.
Right.
And I started working with Lethal and Danny, and then I met Everlast, and they kind of patched things up. And rather than getting back together as House of Pain, they got back together and put me in the group with this other guy, Ill Bill, who's a very dear friend of mine, an incredible artist as well. And we had a group called La Coca Nostra. We traveled all around the world. And at that time, the Boston Herald picked up a story about that. And Ben Affleck saw me in the Herald, and I got into
Herald.
I got into Gone Baby
So
Gone.
that's how Ben Affleck found you.
That is
Okay, through the Herald.
He saw
story.
me in the Herald.
Okay, okay, this guy.
Let me just say this. It's not a bad thing to say Ben Affleck found me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not sure a lot of people can say that. That is for sure. But I mean, he found you through a newspaper article. Talk to us about that. I mean, what did he find?
I think what he was doing, Gone Baby Gone, it's a great film, right?
Yeah.
And part of what made it so great is it was so authentic to Boston. Up until then, when people made Boston movies, it was kind of like these fabricated bad accents and all that.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
Ben knew that, right? So when Ben was making Gone Baby Gone, he brought in a lot of really local, authentic people who'd never been on screen before, right? And he put them in these positions to make it. And I was one of them. So it wasn't just me that he put in that movie. But I was definitely able to take the ball and run with it after that.
How was that experience for you? So you had never acted before. You'd been around production and music and that sort of thing. So that wasn't in any way like new to you. But you become all of a sudden immersed in this giant movie set.
It was less overwhelming than you'd think, because to me, you got to remember, like, my dream was hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to be a rapper since I was 9 years old.
Right.
And I had the posters all over my room. So right before that, I started working with Cypress Hill and House of Pain and DJ Premier.
This is like my high school. Like, this is everything I listened to in high school, literally.
Right. So these were my superheroes, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and I love Ben, and Ben's a tremendous artist, but, like, he wasn't a poster on my wall when I was growing up.
He was a poster on a lot of people's walls.
He was on, maybe it was they were female. I don't know.
Yeah, on a female's wall, maybe. But so when I went onto a movie set, I had already been through, like, the jitters of working with legendary people, and I was just kind of like, what do you want me to do? And Ben made me feel very comfortable, and he's definitely... he's really a brilliant director, I especially in hindsight. Now, it was my first experience, but in hindsight, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
What a special, unique individual.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with a lot of directors, and I mean, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for being as brilliant as he is.
Quiet in that way. He's not a look at me kind of guy.
Right, absolutely. So. I got to tell you, looking at that, though, Slaine, you were a natural. You didn't look like a guy who'd never walked in. That this was your first go-round. You really didn't. And it was a great role for you. That was very clear.
It was a comfortable role to walk into.
Yeah.
It was... I wouldn't say that. Some of my friends would tell you, "Oh, you're just playing yourself," but I think, like, I was able to draw from a lot of people that I grew up around.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
It wasn't a huge stretch. Nor was the town after that. So,
but the roles are changing a little bit, aren't they? With time here,
they are.
You're starting
And
to play?
I mean, that's part of it that I really like too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was terrified. I did a movie called Ida Red, and I had to learn a Southern accent and all that, and that was terrifying. The first day I went on set, I had this big monologue scene with William Forsythe, and I remember just being mega focused. I had been working with a dialect coach for a month prior to, and I got through it. It was an overnight shoot, and I collapsed on the bed when I got back to the hotel. I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
And then when I woke up the next morning, I was like, I have to do this for a month.
Do this again.
They're going to know that I'm lying.
I'm so curious. So it's interesting because you've been rapping for, like, your entire life, essentially. And so acting has kind of come in a little bit later. They've both become really, like, seemingly integral parts of your life and your expression. How have you matured as an artist through, like, hip-hop and acting? Like, what have you found that surprised you?
Oh, I mean, that's a very complicated question, because I think one of the things that I love about music and acting is they're time capsules. So, like, what you want to capture, you want to stay present in the moment and create. And especially with my music, I could tell you, like, I could listen back to things I did when I was in active addiction and be like, wow, I can't believe that I used to be there, like, internally, but that was a painting of where I was at that time.
Sure, absolutely.
With all the chaos, with all the pain, with everything. And then to be able to come out the other side of that and then see where I am now. And sometimes, when I record now, it's still chaos or pain or whatever.
Yeah.
But being able to separate yourself from the things that you're going through and realize, like, I am not those things.
Right.
Those are things that I went through, right? So it's always been part of my coping. That's the best thing that music or art in general does for me. It's a coping mechanism to endure through things and offer me clarity and perspective on the things I'm going through in my life.
Is the music different as a result of No More Addiction?
Oh, I think it's vastly different.
Yeah.
I think like if you listen, the last 2 albums I put out were called One Day and The Things We Can't Forgive. And they're very much kind of based in like a recovery journey, not so much directly with The Things We Can't Forgive, but it's about life and overcoming things and all that, right? And it's definitely got more age and wisdom if you listen to them. Where early on, I mean, a lot of the stuff was, it was celebratory of the chaos.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
it was
sure.
like I was basking in it at times, and then at other times I was really suffering in it. And but I'm able to listen to those things now and see them and be like, wow, I don't regret any of them. I'm not ashamed of any of the music I made. It was just where I was at that time.
You're super active in the recovery community, obviously, creating a center for people to work through recovery. I don't think I know anyone that hasn't really been touched personally by addiction and people that are working through recovery with various different outcomes. Have you been able to use like your art, talk about the music and the albums that you made that you were actively in addiction at the time? Have you been able to use that to mentor young people as they're working through their recovery?
I think twofold. And so I'll explain to you, like in the beginning, because I made music, I wrote from the center of a drug epidemic in Boston in the beginning of my career. And I think I didn't realize I was doing that at the time. And then when I ended up getting sober years and years later, I was transparent with my recovery because I always wrote and created from the place I was in.
Sure.
So as people saw me start to change, they would reach out to me. And like any person in early recovery, I was willing to help, but I realized very quickly that I'm not really equipped with how to help. So I went on this journey of learning how to help people and plugging in resources and learning who had the resources and which ones could help these different difficult cases. Because, with mental health and addiction, like it's very nuanced.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's
it's
different
not
for
one
everyone.
size
You bet.
fits all.
Exactly.
So, after going through that process for many years, I started to realize I don't like all the things, all these resources, and I think there could be better ones. And that ended up with creating a place called Charles River Recovery, which is a 111-bed inpatient detox and clinical stabilization facility. And we also have an outpatient program there. And then also twofold so I think the platform and people seeing me change over the years very publicly, like gave me the ability to reach a lot of people like that. But then even more so with Grand Rising, which is a new mental health facility that I opened and focuses more on anxiety and depression and just all the stresses of the world. Part of the curriculum there is music and art and writing.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things that have helped me. So look, I'm not a clinician. I'm a vision guy, and I like to put the pieces in place and the team together and all that. And then I can make recommendations on curriculum, but I leave it up to the professionals to kind of deal with that stuff.
It's so fascinating. You're talking about like, in a center that's dealing with anxiety and depression, which tends to be like the on-ramp for addiction, for addiction and abuse of like substances, because it's an outlet, right? So. And you talk about there were really traditional sort of one kind of way, one solvent for like addiction and recovery, but to have that idea that, music, art, whatever it is, I dealt with depression and anxiety my entire life, and cooking is very much like that outlet.
Sure, that's
for
your
me.
outlet.
Exactly. So to approach that and have like other ways for people to, if that's in you, you got to get it out somehow.
Sure.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And that's like the process of really finding freedom is when people say meditation, if you're like me, when I thought of meditation many years ago, I thought like,
I was terrified
it's
of
for
it.
like somebody on a hill, like a monk.
100%.
Yeah, and it's like, no, what I learned about meditation is two things. One is it's watching breathing happen to you. You don't have to try to breathe. Breathing happens to you through the universal intelligence. And the other thing is it's just about staying present. So you can actually be meditating when you're cooking because you're focused in the present moment.
Right.
You're not thinking
Right.
about 700 other things.
Yeah.
Right.
I can do it with music, right? It's something that we love. So when we do something that we love to do, we're very actively engaged and present, and that leads to happiness and joy and purpose, right?
People
And
call it the flow state.
Right,
Like when
exactly,
you're in
the flow
something,
state.
Like you lose time. It's pretty
Being
incredible.
present, I think, is one of the things that our whole society works against us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think it's one of the most difficult things anybody can do. Let me go out of the present and go to the future, though. So what's next for you? You said there's a new album coming out.
New album. So I have an album called A New State of Grace. It's with my very dear friend and longtime friend, Static Selector, who's also a local. I shouldn't say he's a local producer. He's from here, but he's gone on to be an international artist. And I have 2 films coming out. One that just won the Ambassador of Hope Award at Venice Film Festival.
that
It's about
crazy?
fentanyl in America,
Yeah.
and it's called King Ivory. It's got an incredible ensemble cast with, Ben Foster, whose brother is actually my partner at Charles River and the director of,
Great.
at Charles River and at Grand Rising. He's the director of operations at Grand Rising. And Melissa Leo, who's an Academy Award winner and just a fantastic human being. And James Badgedale. There's just really a lot of great ensemble cast. And then I also went to London in November and got to be a part of The Running Man, which is, a lot of people remember the Schwarzenegger movie from the 80s, which was ahead of its time, too, with the reality TV. And all that.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
And this is based on it's a Stephen King book. He wrote it under a surname in the
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
had
did,
No
yeah.
idea. Yeah.
So very cool to be part of that. And
Some great actors in that movie as well. You being one of them, but
Glenn Powell and Josh Brolin.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
You're working. You're constantly working.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's really
incredible.
I don't
really
like that. I
great.
can't sit still.
Same.
It's part of my own mental health stuff.
I hear you. I feel like it devalues my worth if I'm sitting still.
Slaine, one more time before we let you go, tell everybody, we want to make sure that the names of the centers are known to people. So if people are listening and they know somebody or they are somebody who needs a little help.
Yeah, so if you're struggling with substance use and you're in the Boston area, we have an amazing facility. It's called Charles River Recovery. It's on the Waltham Weston line, and a lot of it's been open for 3 years, and I think it's widely regarded as kind of a gold standard
Absolutely.
locally for a program like that. And then the other program is a mental health program, and a lot of the people we see in there are just struggling professionals who are dealing with, maybe a divorce or grieving a loss or, some of the stresses that we have in life. And that's called Grand Rising Behavioral Health. It's located in Norwood, and that's an outpatient program.
Super. Slaine, it's so good to have you.
Yeah,
Great
thank
to
you.
meet
Really
you.
nice to
good to meet you,
take
too.
time and
Yeah.
talk to you. It's really also, I don't know, I love deeply, and I'm so grateful for people that are really open about struggling and what that means, whether it's addiction or mental health. We talk about it a lot. It's like saying I broke my arm. It's the same thing in terms of mental health. There should be absolutely no stigma around it.
No, absolutely. And we're glad that people like you are not only talking about it, but doing things for people, which is so important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Continued
Thanks for
success.
having me.
We're so
Appreciate
glad
you.
you were part of the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
All right, lots more still coming your way, everybody. This is Carrigan and Company. Well, we did it. We survived another New England winter. As the days get longer, it's time to plan ahead and think about landscape and outdoor lighting. My friends at Lucia Lighting and Design in Lynn can help you get your landscape and outdoor living spaces ready for summer. They'll work with you to plan a space that's well lit, comfortable, and secure. After all, outdoor lighting is like adding a room to your home. Get started by going to lucialighting.com and then make an appointment to visit their beautiful showroom in Lynn, Massachusetts. That's lucialighting.com. Have you heard the news? The 2025 season is on sale now at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. The season begins with The Shark is Broken, a new play about the making of Jaws. Then you won't want to miss the Broadway musical Waitress, followed by the magical production of The Wizard of Oz, an electrifying production of Grease, and the Pulitzer Prize winning phenomenon Rent, and finally the dazzling production of The Cher Show. Tickets and discount subscription packages are on sale now at nsmt.org. Don't miss a single show. This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to you by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Learn all about this year's shows at nsmt.org. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. And keeping me company today is, of course, celebrity chef Tiffani Faison. Now, we do this pretty frequently. We ask our co-hosts if there's someone they might like to have on to interview. Our next guest, Tiffani was adamant she wanted her I wanted her to come as a co-host.
We can share
and
her.
she can come back. We're sharing her. But I'm going to let you do the introductions.
It's a yes and, right? Like, so yes for me, and also she can co-host for you. Now I'm like just your PR person. Kennedy is one of my favorite people on the planet. We've known each other forever and ever. Truly, this is so selfish for me because we've been trying to get together and to like go out and have dinner,
be real
human beings, which we got very good at for like half a second, and then life got bananas again. So in some ways, this is very selfish for me to be able to bring her here and be able to hang out with her. I also know that you have an incredible event that's coming up this week.
Yeah.
It's sort of evergreen, but I want you to be able to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just one of the strongest people that I know, and you're open about everything that's happening in your life, which allows other people to gain strength through your struggles and coming out on the other side. And sister, you have been through it in the last
I have been through it.
year.
The stars tell me that this is supposed to be my year, that I'm coming out of 15 years of badness. Just waiting.
It's coming.
Just waiting.
It's coming.
But
It's
it's
coming.
coming.
It's coming.
You bet it is.
Also, a lot of goodness. I don't believe anything is all bad or all
No,
good,
100%. But it has been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a shit.
Well, we're
let's say
gonna
it's been a shit show.
right, or
Sorry,
a shit
we're
show,
talking
but we
like
can
everybody
say it.
knows what we're talking about.
Right, so we're going to back in. First off, this is Kennedy of Carson and Kennedy.
Hi, nice to
and,
see you.
104.1.
Yes, ma'am.
In the mornings, and I listen to Kennedy on a regular basis, and I'm going to make a really big suggestion to our listeners and our viewers. Don't ever take her on when it comes to pop culture, because nobody wins.
Because you know what?
No
You
one
can't
wins.
beat Kennedy.
You cannot beat Kennedy.
When I co-host with her every once in a while, I would co-host. We should do that again at some point.
Bribery.
Yes. I would, so they have like Can't Beat Kennedy, the segment that people come on and try and like out pop culture Kennedy. And I made it my personal mission to find someone who could beat Kennedy.
Did you? Did you?
No.
No.
Bribing
with
free gift cards
free
and
gift
stuff like that.
cards. I was like, don't call in the show if you're not good at pop
Kennedy,
culture.
if I hear you get maybe miss one,
I know.
It happens.
Rarely.
once in a
400 some
very
odd
rare,
Rarely.
very, very rarely.
I would
it's fine.
plead with people. I would say, truly, this is my time. And like, if you, they would call in and we'd say, how are you with pop culture? And some people would be like, no. I was like, can we hang up? Can we hang up and find someone else, please?
Well, Kennedy, I was telling Tiffany that I happen to be, I listen to you guys all the time, but I'm not in the car, I'm like bopping here, I'm bopping there, whatever. So I'm catching you like a lot of people are. Yeah. And I was in the car the morning that you were telling last fall that you were going to go back through chemo treatment.
Radiation. I didn't have to do chemo, thank goodness.
I just happened to be listening that morning, and you were starting in October. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, it all got shifted. So I found out this July 4th weekend that I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so that'll put a damper in your weekend plans.
Yeah, fireworks
So
mean something different.
I was driving to Washington, D.C. with my dog, and I got the call from the doctor while I was driving, and I was like, all right.
Wait,
I gave myself,
seriously?
Yeah, I gave myself 30 minutes. I pulled over to a gas station. I said, you have 30 minutes to go down a rabbit hole, and then that's it. That's it. That's all we're doing. So I went down a 30-minute rabbit hole, and that's it. Got back in the car, kept driving, because I had things to do, places to go, cherry blossoms to see, as they say. So I came back, and then I had surgery in August, and then I had to have another surgery because they didn't get it all.
Right.
And my surgeon was more upset about it than I was, quite frankly. She was very disappointed in herself. But I love her. That's why I love her so much. And then we did 19 radiation treatments. So it was a hustle.
Yeah. How are you? How do things look now?
We're cancer-free, and
There
we're
we go.
feeling like $1 million.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I don't recommend it. So go get yourself checked.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah.
Well, you look very, very well. For those who are listening, she looks fantastic.
Look like $1
She looks
million
very healthy.
Thankful to live in a place where you're surrounded by hospitals and doctors that are just the best. The best.
We talk about this a lot. I think we take it for granted.
Absolutely
here.
do.
We just had the marathon. And it's impossible not to like celebrate the marathon without thinking like what we've been through as a city. And I will say this forever. I don't think in any other city we would have had as many survivors as
I think you're
did.
probably right.
Like, so I think the top
to
tier
healthcare.
doctors and hospitals that we have,
Absolutely.
we take for granted.
100%.
Can we also talk about, we were just talking to Slaine, and he, I think you know him a little bit, hip hop star, actor, and has started a recovery center that's been open for 3 years, and also a center for mental health, just generally helping adults with anxiety and depression.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. crazy, right?
Such a nice
I didn't know about the second. I knew about the recovery
Yeah.
center. I didn't know that which I think is
They
such
really
an
go hand in hand.
That's
You really don't have
exactly
one
what
without the
Tiffany
other.
said that, and
We
it
were
is so
just saying
true.
that essentially,
Right.
depression and anxiety, mental health triggers can be like the on ramp for addiction, and like substance abuse.
Or you
in
don't
terms
know
of-
you have a disorder, or you don't know you're sick.
Yeah.
Because you're covering it up with other stuff.
self-medicating.
Not that I'm speaking from a personal space at all, but when you stop using that stuff, then
wherever
that's
you go,
when
there
you're
you
all
like,
of a sudden you're like, wow.
maybe I do need some help.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe that's why I was doing all this
Right.
other stuff. Or at least for me.
And it's
Yeah.
really common. And there's, I think there's a stigma that needs to be entirely removed from it. I think we're doing a lot of work. People are,
We really
including
are.
you, Slaine, around removing that stigma, not just around the need for mental health care. We're just saying it should be put in the same vein as I broke my leg, I twisted my ankle.
Mental health
I
is
broke my
health.
arm.
Full
It's
stop.
health, full stop.
Right.
And so, it's interesting. There's also shame needs to be removed from any sort of self-medicating that happens in the process of figuring out what your diagnosis is or how to move through your life.
Well, I couldn't agree with that more, for sure, because I think people do what they have to do.
Yeah.
You have to get out of
People think
bed.
that sometimes people are just doing drugs for fun.
Yeah.
And I tell you not. Some of them are doing to survive.
Yeah.
You know?
Drinking
And that's
excessive
an
alcohol,
important
doing
thing to
whatever it is that they
understand.
have to do
Yep.
to try to get
whatever
home.
the behavior is that's moving yourself away
Yeah.
from dealing
Absolutely.
with what's going on at home.
Not to say that it's a good thing, because it's not, but at the same time, understand the whys.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we bring all of this up with you, of course, because you're very open about
Yep.
this. We're Kennedy. We're not talking
Nope.
about something like we're pulling up
Let's
a curtain
talk about
here.
it all.
That
She's an open book. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know that you struggled for a long time.
Still
And-
do. It is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right,
Not to use
absolutely.
the
So,
parlance of the
so
day, but-
tell the listeners, what your situation
well,
has
as
been.
I sort of said, so I was, I moved here in 2009, and I was using a whole lot of stuff. I was whatever, and I got here and kind of started over and realized I was really, really sad a lot. And I did a charity event for. I can't even remember the charity, but there was a mental health charity along with this other one. And I was backstage and I started talking to this woman who was a healthcare professional, and she said, maybe we should get you to talk to somebody, because it was super clear that something wasn't right. So I started therapy then. I was diagnosed with clinical depression, severe anxiety disorder. And then after, it took a while to get the next diagnosis of bipolar disorder, but that was that. And so, you start the work towards fixing is the wrong word, towards living with that. Because
Right.
that's what you do. You live with it.
Right.
It doesn't go away. It's not
Right.
something that gets fixed. It can be managed and monitored, but it's something that I'll forever live with. And
and your life can get better.
oh my God, yes. My life is amazing.
Sure.
Amazing. I spent 10 days at McLean Hospital. So if you ever need to do that, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Incredible.
And through really hard work and therapy and really good doctors who I have a whole team who have, worked our way through all of the medications
Sure.
to find the right ones. That is a bit of a slog. 100% is. But yeah, I'm in a space now where I feel like I use this analogy of having a tool belt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you think you're like Batman or you're, Bob the Builder or something. And in everything you have tools.
Yeah.
And I have lots of those tools. So that when things get a little hinky, or I can feel the voices, or I can hear the whatevers, that I can be like, here's the tool I should use today. Or if someone's having a rough time around me,
Yep.
that I can give a tool to.
So let me ask you, at what point does someone need to maybe get some help? What is the difference between I'm having a really crappy week and I feel really like I'd just like to go to bed and get up next week, and I'm not just having a bad week, but I'm having a bad month, I'm having a bad 6 months, I'm not living a good
Here's
life.
what I'll say first, is that, in my opinion, therapy should be something everybody does.
Correct.
Therapy should be done something that happens at school, just like an English test.
Yep.
It's something that we don't learn, although young people have become so in tune with this and are having conversations that we never had. But I think the one thing in our lives that we never learn to deal with is our anger. We're not taught to deal with anger.
Yeah.
As young women especially, we're told to sit down, be pretty, be quiet. If we're loud, we're bitches, or we're aggressive, or we're whatever, that it's just not the vibe, right? And as young men, you can get out and be wild and whatever, and that's okay and that's acceptable, but that's just part of who you are. We don't And I think
Boys
at the end
will
of the
be
day,
boys.
everything comes down to anger. I swear,
Yeah.
it all comes down to your ego. It all comes down to anger that way. However, that said, I think if you're feeling anything, help is out there always. 988 on your phone whenever you need it. But if you're feeling some kind of way, finding someone to talk to is the first step. If it's your friend, if you just text somebody, or if you can call a line, certainly. But if you feel it's bigger than that, then to get some help would be your logical next step. And the Department of Mental Health here in Massachusetts is opening up urgent care centers for mental health this year, and it is so freaking cool.
That is groundbreaking.
And so you could go like to urgent care, like if you broke your arm, but if urgent care, if you're having a moment, you don't have to go to the emergency room, because going to the emergency room is really awful if you're in the midst of a mental health crisis. It's not a safe space to go sometimes. So being around those people who need your help. But I just think at the end of the day, talking to another human being, whoever that is, it's amazing how quickly that will help.
You know, it's really interesting, like you talk about the sort of having language and having communication around therapy in our schools, really important, like with our young people growing up, they have more literacy around like their emotional, their ability to communicate emotionally, what's going on with them. It's really nice to see. I think it's also our boys. We used to say women, girls can't express anger. Boys are having a tough time now trying to understand where that fits for them. And we're seeing that effect in very difficult ways and how it's affecting our young boys that are growing up as well. It used to be, my advocacy is very much for women and young women. We're starting to see that advocacy need to kind of shift to our boys as well. To humans
in general,
exactly,
right? Absolutely.
Whether, gender spectrum, whatever.
What do you think we do though about the stigma? I mean, I think we all want to think that we're progressive and that we, in this regard, and that we have, we're getting past that, and yet
No, we're not.
We're not.
nobody wants that on their resume.
Oh, I'll put it on mine. And that's why I am so loud.
Yeah.
And that is why I scream it from the rooftops, and I don't
And I think
ever
that's
shut up about it.
fantastic. I'm not sure
And that's what
that
I do.
I would put it on my resume. I think I might still be in that place.
Well,
I don't know.
and I think that's
I might
normal,
put
right?
Kennedy bipolar,
Right,
LC,
yeah.
just
There.
right in there.
Right.
Okay. And it's because of people like you, people like Slaine, people that are talking about
Right.
it openly and honestly. I think there are I always say there's two types of people in this world: people that like pina coladas and liars. There are people that struggle with mental health and liars, and it's we all struggle. It is just how it is.
100%.
So it's not about, and it's to your point, Kim, whether it's the understanding of when to get help. If you have tools along the way and you're growing up with the language of some sort of therapy or mental health tools, I think you can employ those tools. And the difference between one bad day and a bad week and it's really about separating and understanding your thoughts are not you.
Yes.
They are not who you are. And if your thoughts are going into a place where you're having a hard time separating your thoughts from who you are, trusting your thoughts when they're leading you into a place that's going to stay dark.
Maybe we should want to put it on our resume.
Yeah.
We need to make it cool to put our
Well,
resume.
I think I have to tell you, I think it would be if I was receiving a resume from someone who said I would certainly investigate that and chat about it, but it wouldn't keep me, and I can say that honestly, it wouldn't keep me from hiring someone.
Yeah, for sure.
like that.
I mean, and I think the difference is whether someone has it on their resume or whether they're excluding it from their resume. We all struggle with stuff
I
along
agree.
the way.
Just
Put it on your resume of life.
Right,
Exactly.
resume of life. That's exactly right. I just think that my problem with it is that I know that a lot of the world still looks at it as a stigma.
And I think
as a
that's
problem.
the world's
And that's-
problem largely.
I agree.
And it's not ours. And so we can make choices along the way to hire people that struggle, that are open about their struggles
Right.
with it. When I
mean,
see
you could
someone,
open that up as being saying I don't want to tell people I'm gay or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh? Of course you do.
Of course, it's so much a part of who I am.
Right, yeah.
The other thing is when I see someone that's talking about it openly, what I know at that point is that I'm talking to someone who has the tools to help their move
Very
their
true.
path along.
Very
versus
true.
someone who's not talking about it, you can be setting yourself up for a different situation where they don't have the tools. So
true.
Six and one half to another, really.
Absolutely, you're so right.
But the help is out there, friends. Just want to know that. The help
You besides being a fabulous radio personality, and by the way, you really are. You're a really good radio personality.
Thank you so much.
you obviously do a lot of charity work, and
I try
you
and
sit on
walk
the
the
board at Samaritan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sit on the board at Samaritan.
Yeah, and you guys have a big event coming up.
We do. On the 30th, it's our Breakfast for Hope. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year, where we come together for an hour in the morning. Well, an hour of coffee and chit-chat, and then an hour of business. We have people we always have a keynote speaker, someone who is involved with the Samaritan's family to give their story. We talk about our vision for the future, and we're really excited. We have some big plans this year. We have a big ask this year. We're trying to reach $26 million, and we're at 20 right now.
Wow.
So if you're
Incredible.
out there, and what the Samaritans does, if you don't know, we're a suicide prevention organization, but has branched out since then. So suicide prevention through a 24/7 crisis line. We also have something called Hey Sam, which came out of the pandemic, and it was by young people, for young people who are under 25 years old. They created this space where they text. It's not a call line, it's a text line, because
Young people don't talk on the phone.
Right.
And they created it. They did it all. And through some money that we got through some amazing people who work in our government, they were able to get a little bit of money and get it started. And they just answered their 10,000th text.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's
great.
We also have grief counseling services for those who have lost someone or those who have attempted, because there's special things that go along with
You bet.
living through something like that, or with someone through something like that. So constantly keeping the communication lines open. They answer a bulk of the 988 calls that come through. It's a remarkable space, and they found that, as we're saying, that how important it is to speak your truth. Jaron Duran, when he said what he said about his mental health in that special, that day, Hey Sam got 3 times more texts than
I'll bet they
normally
did,
do.
yeah.
Because this man stepped up and said, this is how I feel.
Sure.
This man who plays sports, this man who's not supposed to say anything like that. And I just had a friend come visit me in town, and he was like, my son brought this up to me, and I'm not sure what to do. And I said, your son just started a conversation with you, and you get to finish it.
Absolutely.
This is magic what just happened.
Well, it's magic what you do. You are talking about it. You're brought on a regular basis, and you've got a great platform to do so, and you're taking advantage of it. So it's really great. So
Thank
Kennedy,
you for letting me come stand here in front of this microphone and just
goodness
talk.
gracious! We're so glad that you did.
Anytime.
It was great to have you, and we're glad Tiffany suggested. Now you're going to come back and you'll be a co-host.
There you
okay?
go.
Anytime, and Tiffany will be mine.
I love it.
This might become a weekly chat. I'm not sure.
Why not?
I do not hate this idea at all.
Love it.
All right, and be sure, everybody, you can catch Kennedy in the mornings, of course, on 104.1.
That's it. Thank you.
It's the Carson and Kennedy Show. We'll be right back. Have you heard the news? The 2025 season is on sale now at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. The season begins with The Shark is Broken, a new play about the making of Jaws. Then you won't want to miss the Broadway musical Waitress, followed by the magical production of The Wizard of Oz, an electrifying production of Grease, and the Pulitzer Prize winning phenomenon Rent, and finally the dazzling production of The Cher Show. Tickets and discount subscription packages are on sale now at nsmt.org. Don't miss a single show. Beach season is almost here, and that means we're all exposing a little more skin. Are you ready? If not, you need to make an appointment with my friends at Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa in Beverly. Thanks to their new Clarity 2 laser, they're offering the best in hair removal, photo facials to get rid of those age and sunspots, and how about those spider veins that have popped up? Well, Clarity 2 can take those away as well. Add a facial to your visit and get 20% off. Go to siennaaesthetics.com to make an appointment. That's siennaaesthetics.com. This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, it's that time of the show when we wrap things up. This has been a really fun show.
Incredible show.
High energy show. I love that about the show. I'd never met Slaine. Did you say you had met him? Or you
No,
had
I had never
either,
met
right?
him. I fell in love with him immediately.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's really cool.
He's exceptional.
He's
really got that
is.
thing that people have when they, like this good aura.
Yeah.
But like really grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has, he's an old soul.
Oh, for sure. No question.
He's had a lot of life.
Yeah.
And now he's using all of that for good. And it's really, really great.
It's extraordinary, like to be able to take all the experiences that he's had, make his way through it, remain an artist, grow as an artist, and then be able to like understand that other people need, the same sort of like breaks that you've been given and venues.
Right. Maybe don't have those same opportunities.
Sure.
And so now he's giving them to those folks. We do this thing called Fast Five.
Yep.
It's rapid fire. You've seen it,
This stuff makes me nervous. I'm never.
So 30 seconds
I get
to
scared
answer
of what's
them.
going to fly out of my mouth.
No, you don't. You're not going to be nervous at all. Here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. Who was the celebrity chef that you most admired as you were growing up?
Marco Pierre White, and I'm sad to say that because I think he was probably an abuser. But go ahead.
If you could live in your favorite sitcom, which sitcom would you be living in?
Oh, I'm not a big sitcom person. Sex and the City, obviously. It's not a sitcom, but
would you have an apartment next? Would
I would live in Carrie's. I would live in Carrie's new house.
yeah,
All that what it is. Yeah.
We're all moving there. What's the scariest thing you have ever done for fun?
Oof. Zip line in Costa Rica, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate heights. So
I zip lined across Niagara Falls. Yeah.
I don't think I could have done that.
If you could eliminate one thing you do each day so that you never had to do it again, what would that one thing be?
Oh, there's so many things. If I could, 2 things. I'll say if I could just if I could be out of bed without having to wake up and I'm not great in the morning. I'm just not a good morning person. So that's number 1.
So if you got up looking exactly like you do right now.
Well, that was going to be my second thing. Skincare. Exactly. If I could just my skincare could be done, face wash when I go to bed, wake up in the morning, my makeup's done, and don't have to worry about that. That would be amazing.
What is your favorite dessert?
Mango sticky rice in Thailand.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I would ask you what your favorite restaurant is outside of yours, but do you have one?
Yeah, I have a few.
Yeah.
Sarma, Peach Farm in Chinatown. There's so many good restaurants. Cafe Sushi. I would really like them to open back up for indoor dining, but they don't. Yeah, there's so many.
Sarma is one that I think every time that we have a chef here, and she's been here as well, but every time that we have a chef here, yes, Sarma
it's fabulous. It's just delicious.
Let's talk about what's happening.
Sure. Okay, so we have some stuff coming up in the restaurants.
Yeah.
This next week, we're moving into what's called the Big Queer Food Festival. I have dear friends of mine that have started this food festival. They're both TV producers out of LA. And we started doing it with dinners, and then they've brought it here. They came to High Street last year. It is now all week this year. So we're kicking it off at Sweet Cheeks on Monday night next week. Tickets are $50. Ashley Gavin, who is a queer comedian who is hysterical, is coming to do a set at Sweet Cheeks. It's just going to be a really fun cocktail party. So that starts Monday. There's programming all week into the grand tasting on Saturday and Sunday that'll both be at High Street.
Fantastic.
So that's happening. I'm also hosting Hugh Mangum, who is owner of the Mighty Quinn Barbecue in New York City. He has a new book coming out with Faison. It's one of their gorgeous big coffee table books. It's called Barbecue. We're doing a dinner at Sweet Cheeks in May. So
that's so
great.
A
couple of great things coming up.
And how about TV shows?
Filming a bunch. So I don't know if I can talk about there's some stuff on the docket for sure. So all the things that we have. You haven't seen everything that's still out there. Tournament of Champions ended last Sunday night. Antonia LaFaso won after 6 years of competing. She's my girl. I could not be happier for her. That happened. I'm now a correspondent on that show. I'm taking all the notes and talking about what the chefs do instead of competing, which is great. Bunch of stuff. I think we were shooting Chopped again. Shooting Wildcard Kitchen, Triple G. So everything's back on the wheel.
Start to get back on the wheel.
Starting to get back in rotation.
Yeah, so that it can all, I guess, for next season, right?
Yes, you'll see it all next year. Exactly.
Again.
Yeah.
Tiffani, one final thing before you go.
Yeah.
Any new restaurants coming?
None that I'm going to talk about just yet. So we'll be talking about it sooner rather than later. We have something coming this summer.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're an incredible talent.
Thank you.
Beautiful restaurants. I love watching you on television.
Thank you.
And having you here has been a treat.
It's been such a treat. I really I'm so thrilled that you invited me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Being able to meet Slaine and Kennedy and hang out with you.
Yeah, it was
really
great.
Awesome.
It was great. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody who has been listening and watching. Be sure you follow us on social. Be sure that you subscribe over there on YouTube. And we'll be back next week. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Carrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Carrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Carrigan and Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley, and our social media managers are Grace Carrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.